tonight on Sports Paws. The men's ice hockey team keeps the good times rolling. Also, the spring sports season is in full swing. We'll bring you highlights and analysis. It's springtime, and that means a new sports season for the Quinnipiac Bobcats.
And it also means the excitement moves out of the arena and onto the fields.
Hello, I'm Jordan Siegler, and welcome to Sports Paws.
And I'm Chelsea Baratta, but before we hit the fields, let's go to the ice.
History has been made. The Quinnipiac men's hockey team is headed to the Frozen Four in Pittsburgh. The Bobcats began their NCAA tournament run last week in Providence, Rhode Island, playing the Canisius Golden Griffins. The top-seeded Bobcats were down 3-1 in the third period until Quinnipiac scored 3 straight goals coming from Matthew Pekka, Jordan Samuels-Thomas, and Kevin Bowie to win 4-3. With the win, Quinnipiac advanced to play conference rival Union in the second round. The Bobcats came out strong, led by Matthew Pekka, who scored a natural hat-trick in just over 3 minutes to give his team a 3-0 lead. Quinnipiac would hold on to win 5-1 and advance to the Frozen Four, where they will take on St. Cloud State at the Consol Energy Center Thursday night.
And with Quinnipiac heading to their first ever Frozen Four, our very own John Alba sat down with hockey heads Mark Spillane and Colin Babcock to preview what to expect when the Bobcats head to the Pittsburgh this week.
A lot of talented players in this Frozen Four. Again, you got 2 number 1 seeds and 2 number 4 seeds, and I don't think a whole lot of people expected that right off the bat when they saw their brackets. So let's get down to this, gentlemen. What are your expectations coming out of Pittsburgh?
Well, I have to be honest with you. I'm not exactly sure what Coach Pecknold said to his team when the Bobcats were trailing Canisius 3-1, but whatever he said, it worked. They scored 3 straight goals in that game, took the victory, and then they came out flying. Matthew Pekka, as you said, Coach Rick Bennett for Union, basically said that Pekka won that game and Union really didn't have a chance to come back, and he's absolutely right. The Quinnipiac Bobcats have looked like a different team since that point in time. I don't see any reason why it stops now.
You know, it's unusual, John, that you say that there are 2 4 seeds, because one of the main 4 seeds that a lot of people predicted was Wisconsin, but they were knocked out in the first round. They were really a popular pick to go on. But it'll be good. 1-4 matchup. In hockey, it's kind of different because the goalie can steal the game. It's not just, you know, like basketball, for instance, where the stars who just make baskets win. This is hockey. You got to score to win, and if you don't, you're going to be going home.
So looking at the possibility of a Quinnipiac-Yale national championship game, do either of you see that happening?
I see a little bit of potential because the way Yale's been playing recently, they took it to Minnesota and then North Dakota, and that was great. But UMass Lowell is a really hot team. Winning the Hockey East, any team that wins the Hockey East deserves to be in almost that Final Four, or the Frozen Four in that tournament. So they'll be a tough team to get by.
There's potential for it because Yale believes in Kenny Agostino and Antoine Lagunière. Their best players are playing well. And it's always said that if you're going to win playoff hockey games at any level, your best players have to play well. So that's the reason why there's a chance. But Connor Hellebuck for UMass Lowell in net leads the nation in save percentage, just ahead of Eric Hartzell, also tied for the lead in the nation in shutouts with Carson Schuback from Niagara. He is on absolute fire right now. Only a freshman. I believe his record is something like 22-2 this year. He really doesn't lose. So I don't really think that Yale's going to be able to overcome the difficulty of trying to get a puck past him, but I'm sure they'll give him a good game.
Are the Bobcats going to find themselves in their first ever national championship game?
I'm going to predict that they will not be. And here's the reason why. You're going to Pittsburgh. It's a long travel. Could be plenty of bus legs going in there. A lot of hype with St. Cloud State. They're a good team from the WCHA. They could really run into some trouble with another Hobie Baker Award finalist in that game. So they could really find themselves in trouble against St. Cloud State if they don't score.
What about you, Mark?
I'd be absolutely shocked if Quinnipiac didn't come out flying next Thursday night against St. Cloud State. I don't think the Huskies are quite ready for the way the Bobcats are playing right now. After they beat Cornell 10-0 in Game 2 of the ECAC quarterfinals, I thought I'd never see them play that well again. Well, they really proved me wrong. When they came out in the first period against Union, they blew that Cornell game out of the water. That is the best this Quinnipiac team has ever played. If they play like that again, and I expect them to, you will see them playing in their first national championship game next Saturday night.
That's a valid point there, Mark. So you're the only one here picking Quinnipiac in the national championship game. Is this a championship caliber team?
This is a championship caliber team. That does not mean I think they're going to win. To be honest with you, this is about as hard of a decision I think I've ever had to make in terms of picking a game. Trying to go against UMass Lowell and Connor Hellebuck is really difficult to do, but at the same time, Eric Hartzell all year long has been phenomenal. The save he made in the first period against Max Novak for Union the other day was absolutely ridiculous. If he puts that puck in the net and ties the game up, you could have a totally different outcome against Union, but he's able to shut the door, take down the breakaway. So if Quinnipiac, like I said, if they play the way they did against Union in the first period, they're going to be bringing that trophy back home here to Hamden.
One thing, John, I think if they do beat St. Cloud State on April 11th, that Thursday, I think they do win the national championship. They'll carry that momentum into it, no matter who they face, whether it be UMass Lowell or whether it be Yale. I think they do, and actually they had a really good record against Yale this year, 3-0, so that they will win the national championship if they get by St. Cloud State. That'll be the real tough game.
Often in sports, fans deal with conflictions. Think about this. You're a professor at Quinnipiac, but you graduated from the Frozen Four opponent, St. Cloud State University. Who do you root for? It's hard to decide, right? Well, it's a decision that Professor Patrice Loma is dealing with right now. Our own Carolyn Fail sat down with Professor Loma this week.
When I went to St. Cloud for my bachelor's and my master's, and I was a commuter student, so I only went to one football game. And they started building the hockey program when I was there, so they built 2 ice arenas. I used to go skating on the ice arenas, but I never actually went to a hockey game. So I think it's very exciting that I have a connection to both of the teams in the playoffs, and that it was surprising to see the 2. St. Cloud's a larger state university, about 16,000 students, and so it's kind of just a different environment, but it was a really nice school. We still had small class sizes like we do here, and so I think in terms of the schools, they're not that different, although we're a little bit more rural, and St. Cloud is in the town of St. Cloud, which is about 100,000 population. We have a lot of students that live on campus here, and we have the York Hill campus now, so we have more students who live on campus for longer. I also think having sent 3 kids to school here, 2 of whom lived on campus, that we have a very tight-knit student community. They really enjoyed the people that they were in school with. We've gone to some of the games over the years, and I have a couple students in my class who are hockey players, Eric Hartzell and Lauren Barron. And so because of them and because I wanted to support the team, I went to some hockey games again this year. And lots of my colleagues along the hallway here are very big hockey fans, and so I hear a lot about hockey when I'm at work. I think that students are excited about it, and I know some of my students already asked for permission to get the day off next week to go to the games. So I thought about my connections to both, and I have to say that I'm rooting for Quinnipiac, of course. So first of all, Lauren and Eric would not be happy if I said I wasn't, but also because I've had 3 kids go to school here. I've been working here for 16 years. I've gone to hockey games here, so I really support the QU team, and I hope they do well.
Who has been the most dominant team on campus? Not the men's hockey team. That honor goes to the women's rugby team. The Bobcats have rolled through each opponent this year, winning by as much as 130 points against Hofstra. They have been off since November, but returned to the field on Saturday to play Temple, looking to advance to the national round of 16. The Quinnipiac Bobcats getting ready for their big match against Temple. After a couple early tries by Natalie Costco to put the Bobcats up 10-0, the Bobcats looking for more here, and then it's going to be Devin Vieira getting the ball, and she's going to take it across the goal line for another try. Quinnipiac goes up 15-0 here. Now the Bobcats on the attack again, and it's Megan Hanneman getting in for the try. And the Bobcats seem to be rolling here early on, and it's going to be Kristen Orico for the 2 extra points, and it is good. Bobcats beating the Owls 22-0. Now it's going to be another scramble in front of the goal line here, and it's going to be Hanneman again getting the ball for the Bobcats. And there's a shove there from Temple. Ooh, can't do that, and it's going to be a game misconduct for them and a warning from the ref. Now it's going to be the Bobcats here with some really terrific passing, and it's going to find its way to Natalie Costco, who's going to take it down the line for another try for Quinnipiac. The Bobcats still rolling, and it's going to be Orico for another extra point try. And here's the kick, and it's off the uprights, but it's in. So now the Bobcats continuing to put up points, and it's Elisa Cuellar to Elena Orlando, and she's going to take it in for another try. QU continuing to extend their lead. Then again, it's going to be Cuellar to Orlando, and Orlando is going to take it in again for Quinnipiac. The Bobcats would wrap up a 44-0 victory over the Temple Owls. The Bobcats advancing to the round of 16 in the 2013 Emirates Airlines USA Women's Rugby Collegiate Playoffs. With the win over Temple, the Bobcats advanced to the national round of 16 in the 2013 Emirates Airlines USA Rugby Women's Collegiate Playoffs in Annapolis, Maryland next weekend. Quinnipiac needs a win on Saturday to advance to the quarterfinals on their quest to win a national championship.
After losing to one of the best acrobatic and tumbling teams in the nation in Oregon, the Bobcats hosted the Fighting Falcons of Fairmont State. Would Quinnipiac be able to get back on the winning side? Our own Steph Fasano breaks down the meat.
The acrobatics and tumbling team defeated the Fairmont Falcons Saturday, April 6th up at the TD Big Sports Center. Moving in the compulsory pyramid round, Fairmont wasn't as perfect as Quinnipiac's as they fell in the compulsory round. Quinnipiac completed a nearly perfect pyramid in the compulsory round, as Montera Tomasetti didn't even make a bobble. Moving through in the compulsory tumbling, Fairmont was not able to stay synchronized, which had them fall in the compulsory round 37.2 to Quinnipiac's 37.5. Moving through in the acro round, Christina Lasto was able to perform a nearly perfect switch up to a Liberty, quarter turn, then to another switch to a heel stretch, then pulling an arabesque to then a perfect dismount. She competed one more element after that for her element round. Unfortunately though, Fairmont did beat Quinnipiac in the acro round with a 28.5 to QU's 27.25. Moving through in the pyramid round after that, Fairmont had the lead. But then in the tumbling round, Fairmont did not do a too perfect front tuck, round off whip, handspring, full. And then Montera Tomasetti competed her round of handspring full and a half through to full. And Jenna Quenneville's tumbling pass helped Quinnipiac beat Fairmont in the tumbling round with a 56.38 to Fairmont's 52.95. The girls defeated Fairmont with a 279.085 to Fairmont's 275.87. The Bobcats' next competition will be the NCATA Championships here at Quinnipiac. Back to you.
Coming up on Sports Paws, the baseball team hosted a home series this weekend against Sacred Heart. While both men's and women's lacrosse played important conference games, Thomas Albanese and Camille Bova will stop by to give us their thoughts on the teams.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney here at Ray and Mike's.
The baseball team recently lost to Connecticut and Dartmouth. After falling to both teams, the 9-12 Bobcats prepared to face the Sacred Heart Pioneers on the Quinnipiac baseball field. With Derek Lamacchia on the hill, the Bobcats tried to end their two-game skid. Bobcats warming up, getting ready to take on the Pioneers. Sacred Heart's first at bat, it's Billy McDonough who dribbles it in front of catcher, and Stefan Herder throws it to first for the out. Then it's Dave Boyster with the ground ball to Vin Galletti for the out. And then in the bottom of the first, it's Mike Palladino with the ground ball, and he won't be able to beat it out. And there's an out. Game tied at 0. And first baseman Victor Sorrento flies it out to center field, and Mike Palladino with the catch to keep the score tied. Next up is Dave Boyster, and he bunts it, and a great bunt as the Bobcats won't be able to get him. Sacred Heart would score to make it 1-0. Now it's Chris Magani who hits a long fly out to center field, and the center fielder can't catch it, and Magani is going to get in to second base with an easy double. He would not score though, score still 1-0. Now it's Brian Lamboy, he hits a fly ball out to center field, and Mike Palladino with the catch again. And then the Bobcats would tie it at 1, and here's a walk from Mike Blumenthal. The Bobcats would go on to score 3 more runs in the inning to make it 4-1. Now it's Sacred Heart here with a ground ball, and he'll be thrown out at first base. The Bobcats still leading 4-1. Sacred Heart again. Jason Sullivan will hit a fly ball in the infield, and it's Nick Savali to make the catch to keep the Bobcats ahead. Top of the 8th, Billy McDonough will hit a single into right field. He will not score, though, to keep the lead at 3. Now to the top of the 9th, Jason Sullivan strikes out swinging to end the game. The Bobcats win it 4-1. After Friday's win, the Bobcats faced off against Sacred Heart again on Saturday in a doubleheader. Quinnipiac dropped both games to the Pioneers by scores of 10-0 and 4-0. Spencer Kane pitched Game 1 for the Bobcats, going 3 2/3 innings while giving up 7 hits and 9 runs. Only 6 of them were earned, however. In the second game, Quinnipiac sent Nicholas Fabrizio to the mound. Fabrizio went 6 1/3 innings, giving up 10 hits and 4 earned runs. The Bobcats will be on the road all of next week, starting with a trip to Kingston on Tuesday to face the Rams of Rhode Island, followed by a 4-game weekend series at Bryant, where they will square off against the conference foe Bulldogs. I sat down with Tom Albanese to recap this weekend and preview what's ahead for the Bobcats. I'm here in the new Student Center Piazza with Tom Albanese. So Tom, let's talk a little baseball. After beating Sacred Heart on Friday, what happened to the rest of the weekend?
Well, Jordan, I could tell you exactly what happened for the rest of the weekend. The Bobcats didn't do anything right, to be honest with you. Bobcats, their fielding was not that good. They had 6 errors, especially 5 errors in today's game, actually. And their offense was just gone. It wasn't there. When you lose 3 games this weekend, 10-0, 4-0, and 19-1, the scores just tell you. The scores tell you yourself. There was just absolutely no offense by this Bobcat team. And 2 experienced pitchers on this Bobcat team, Nick Fabrizio and Spencer Kane, also did not have great outings in 2 of the 3 games that they did this weekend. So all around, the Bobcats, they just did not execute their jobs correctly in order to win any of those 3 games. And I understand Sacred Heart, they're defending NEC champions, but you have to at least try to compete with this team in order to succeed in the Northeast Conference, to try to get ahead of them. But that just didn't happen at all this weekend.
Absolutely. So now, after Friday's win, the team was 5-4. Now they're 5-7. What do they have to do to get back on track?
Well, I'll tell you exactly what they got to do. They got pretty much everything I just mentioned. Their pitching's got to improve. Whoever's the starter for this week's upcoming games, their fielding's got to improve. 6 errors in 3 games is unacceptable, especially if you're trying to win any particular game that you're doing. And their hitting's got to get back on track as well. They scored 1 run. And not 1 run this weekend. And the past 3 games this weekend, I forgot to mention earlier, 19 for 87 total with their at-bats at the plate. So that's that's under 250 if I do my math correctly on that. So the offense has definitely got to improve. The pitching's got to improve. And, of course, the fielding's obviously got to improve in order to play sufficient defense for the team. Now, obviously, it's not going to happen in one day, but if the Bobcats can just progressively get better as time moves on toward the NEC playoffs, they can definitely contend for possible NEC for possible berth in the NEC championship this year.
So now, which player is going to be the key?
Okay, now this is definitely a tough one because there are so many good players on this Bobcat team. Now, when you look at all the pitchers, they have each of their ERAs are above 3. So they have each got to progressively get better. But I'm actually going to go a little bit different. I'm actually going to say sophomore Brian Ruditis is actually one of the keys for this Bobcat team to get better down the line. And it's for this reason. Yes, he's a sophomore. Yes, he's still young. But this guy is your usual leadoff batter for this Bobcat team, and every coach in baseball, every manager in baseball knows that in order to succeed, in order to strike first in the game, so to speak, your leadoff batter has to get the job done, whether it's by walking or by getting a leadoff hit in an inning or when they lead off the game. That's something that the Bobcats did not do this weekend against Sacred Heart. They did not get off to that fast start in any of those 3 games, and that's how they ended up losing those 3 games. So, yes, Brian Ruditis is a young guy. He still has 2 more years of eligibility on his hands. He's going to get better as time goes on, but in order to strike first in a game, you have to have a good leadoff batter. And Brian Ruditis' batting average right now, .214. That just doesn't get the job done. If you're Skip Gooley, you need someone to help lead the charge in your offensive weapons, and this team's got a lot of weapons to work with.
Thank you, Tom.
Absolutely.
After a hot start to the season, the men's lacrosse team has had bad luck, losing 5 straight games at one point. They were one of the top 20 teams in the nation. Quinnipiac looked to turn their season around against conference foe Mount St. Mary's. Will the Bobcats once again taste victory? QU gets ready to take on the visiting Mount St. Mary Mountaineers. Brendan Wilbur with the ball passes off to Fran McCardle, who finds his way past a few defenders and snipes it past the goalie. QU is up 1-0. Down the other way, Brett Schmidt tips the ball, and it's Cody Lair who sends it back into the 8. Daniel Stranix with the shot, Brett Schmidt with the rebound, and Clayton Weiner who finally gets it in for MSM. MSM gets their first goal of the game. Quinnipiac gets the ball of the draw. Chris Messina takes it down, and it's Dylan Webster at the top of the 8, who snipes it in for the Bobcats. Bobcats are 3-2. Bobcats passing it around. Tom Gilligan with the pick for Billy Oppenheimer, and the Bobcats do it again. Bobcats are up 8-2 at the end of the first quarter. MSM with the ball. Brett Schmidt is going to roll around the net and whip one in for the Mountaineers. Bobcats still lead 8-3. Bobcats back on the offense. Tom Gilligan is on the goal line and snipes one in for QU. MSM looking to score. Mark Hodgkinensky is going to sink one in for MSM. Score is 6-11 QU. MSM's last goal of the game. Brett Schmidt rips the twine and snipes another shot for MSM. Score is 8-12 QU. The Bobcats win the game 12-8.
It's been a tough year so far for the women's lacrosse team. The Bobcats were 3-7 with a 1-2 conference record heading into Friday's game. They took the field looking to get their season on the right track against the Blackbirds of LIU. Were the Bobcats able to win and reach a 500 conference record? Bobcats huddling up before their game against LIU. Early in the game, it's Maria Bloy finding Leanne Toomey behind the net, and then Toomey is going to come around the net and whip it into the goal for QU's first goal of the game. QU up 1-0. Next possession for the Bobcats. It's going to be Sarah Allen finding a cutting Eileen Carey for the goal. QU up 2-0. Now with a 5-0 lead for Quinnipiac, it's Kayla Fu going to find Kira Ochwat for the goal to capitalize on a 6-0 run by QU. LIU now trying to get on the scoreboard here as it's Kimberly Kovar coming around the net, and she's going to put it past the goaltender of Quinnipiac. Now 6-1 Bobcats. Later on, it's going to be Kira Ochwa running down the field towards the net, and she's going to pass it off to Sarah Allen, who puts it in for the goal. Allen had 4 goals and 5 assists in this one. At the end of the first half, it's Sarah Allen passing to Leanne Toomey for another goal. QU up 10-4 at halftime. In the second half, Kira Ochwat getting a long pass and flipping it to Phoebe LaPlante, and LaPlante is going to take it by herself to the net. Goal for Quinnipiac. Bobcats now up 11-4. And now it's going to be a little deja vu, the reverse though, as it's LaPlante passing to Ochwat in front of the goal for another goal for Quinnipiac. Bobcats up 14-4, and they would go on to beat LIU 20-11.
After a busy weekend of lacrosse, I spoke with our very own Camille Bova to recap the games and talk about what the future holds for these two teams. I'm here with Camille Bova, our lacrosse analyst. How are you?
Good, how are you?
Very good. So the men's team was originally projected to be top in the country. What went wrong with the team?
I'm going to have to say their face-offs. They just have not been able to win them. They've only had 2 games so far where they were able to win the majority of the face-offs, and without a basic like that, you're just not going to be able to pull off those necessary wins that you need.
So Michael Stagel has 15 goals on the season, over under 25 goals by the end of the year.
I'm going to have to go with over. He's the leading goal scorer so far, and with 4 games left on the season, I think that he'll be able to pull off at least 3 goals per game, so I definitely think he'll be able to do it.
All right, well, let's take a look at the women's side. What has been the main issue so far this season for the girls?
The women's are definitely lacking in the fundamentals. They can't win the draws, they can't win the ground balls, and they have way too many turnovers per game, and they're just not going to be able to pull out those wins.
Well, does there seem to be any hope for the women's team?
I wish I could say yes, but I'm going to have to go with no. I just don't see them being able to pull it together for the end of this season. Their best bet is to work on the fundamentals in the offseason and come back next season, hopefully as a stronger team.
Well, hopefully they can pull it off. Thank you so much, Camille.
Thank you.
We're going to take a quick break here on Sports Paws. When we return, we'll see how softball fared against LIU Brooklyn.
I could really go for a Ray and Mike sub right now.
Come to Ray and Mike's and try our Philly chicken with cheese for just over $4, giant cheesesteak subs, and mouth-watering boar's head sandwiches for as low as $4.75. Q-Cash accepted just a mile down the road on Whitney, here at Ray and Mike's.
Hello everyone and welcome back. The softball team headed into this weekend with two doubleheaders. The first one came Friday afternoon against the LIU Blackbirds. The Bobcats, who have lost their last 3 games, look to turn their season around at home. Would the tides turn in Quinnipiac's favor? Women's softball hosted Long Island University. Early in the game, Courtney Solt gets out at first. Both LIU and QU struggled early to get on base. In the 4th inning, Madison Zimkowitz singled Nicole Tovin home, LIU up 1-0. Then LIU singles again and drives in another run. LIU up 2-0. There was a change in pitchers. Katie Alfieri steps in for Sydney Roby. LIU stays strong. 2 runners advance on the wild pitch, but Alfieri closes out the inning. Quinnipiac fights back. Bridget Figmick hits a single that turns into a double on the LIU error. Figmick gets on second. Figmick in scoring position. Courtney Cassisi singles in Figmick. Bobcats down 2-1. QU tries to take the lead. Lauren Salgado singles 2 runners in. Alfieri gets home, but Solt got out to end the inning. Tied game at 2-2. In the 5th, Whitney West gets a triple on the QU error, and LIU brings in a run. Blackbirds up 3-2. Then Lauren Morizi singles to right, and West scores on the Bobcat outfield misplay. LIU up 4-2. Quinnipiac tries to come back, but they were not able to, and LIU wins and would win the second game of the doubleheader as well, improving their NEC record to 3-3.
After dropping the doubleheader on Saturday to LIU Brooklyn, the Bobcats welcomed the Mount St. Mary Mountaineers. In their second doubleheader in as many days, the Bobcats would bounce back, winning both games. Game 1 was a 13-5 6-inning victory for Quinnipiac. The game was called in the 6th due to the mercy rule, stating that a game ends if a team is ahead by at least 8 runs after 5 innings. The game ended after Alex Alba hit a grand slam in the bottom of the 6th. In the second game, the Bobcats won 7-4. Hannah Lindsay went all 7 innings, giving up 3 earned runs with 8 strikeouts. The team's next game is Wednesday at Fairfield.
Both the men's and women's tennis teams defeated Sacred Heart University 6-1 this past weekend. The women's team has now won 3 of their last 4 games, while the men's team got back on the winning track with their victory. Men's tennis will play 4 games this upcoming week, while the women will play 3, including 3 straight home games against Providence, St. Francis University, and Hofstra. So Jordan, where do you go to find out about Quinnipiac Athletics?
QuinnipiacBobcats.com.
That's true, but you can also go to Twitter.
Our own Giovanni Mio scoured the Twitter sphere for Sports Paws' brand new segment, Tweet of the Week.
Hello everyone, I'm Giovanni Mio here with a new segment on Sports Paws called Tweet of the Week, where we find the best tweet about Quinnipiac Athletics the previous week. Now, this week we found a tweet from a former NHL player, Mike Commodore, who tweeted this: Yale, UMass Lowell, St. Cloud State, and possibly Quinnipiac heading to the Frozen Four. What is going on in college hockey? Wow. Now, this tweet refers to the Frozen Four, Quinnipiac, Yale, UMass Lowell, St. Cloud State, all going to Pittsburgh to play for the whole entire thing. Now, it's shocking because Quinnipiac has made its first ever Frozen Four appearance, and we have not heard any names like Minnesota or Boston College involved. Now, if you want to be on Tweet of the Week, just tweet us at Q30 Sports or personally to me at GMio93. I'm Giovanni Mio. We'll see you next week.
Well, that does it for us here. Make sure to tweet about Quinnipiac sports, and maybe you can be the Tweet of the Week.
I'm sure everyone will have a chance as long as I don't tweet this week. I'm Chelsea Baratta.
And I'm Jordan Siegler. For more information on how to get involved with Q30, go to www.q30.org and follow us on Twitter at Q30 Sports.
From all of us here at Sports Paws, have a great night.